Hey guys, welcome to the channel. Today we are going to button up a L83 3 liter that we've been working on. We put a bunch of BTR goodies in this thing, put in a set of forged BTR drop-in pistons, and then one of our more recent episodes we installed a BTR top-end kit, a set of ported heads from GPI, and a bunch of supporting mods to go along with that camshaft. So in this episode, we're going to be installing a Circle D stall converter in the truck. If my memory serves me correct, we're going with around a 3200 stall in this truck because of our cam selection and what he plans to do with the vehicle. We also have a BTR Trinity, their new long runner Gen 5 truck intake. We've got it powder coated in black here, so this will be a nice piece of eye candy to go on top. We also installed a Gen 5 ICT billet valley cover on the long block. We've got a BTR cold air intake, a set of stainless steel Longtube headers from Speed Engineering along with their Y pipe, and then we're going to run it back to a Black Widow Angry Housewife and run it out the bumper. So we're about to dive into this episode and get started, get this thing stabbed in the truck, and try to get a first fire up out of it this week. All right, guys, so we've got the intake laid out on the table. We've got it ready to go in the truck. We do have to bolt this thing together, get all the seals installed, and figure out a couple things on what ports need to be blocked off, what ports we're using, etc. We've also got our old intake over here on the floor. We're going to get the throttle body off of it, get the map sensor off of it, and any other parts that we might need. The intake did come with a map sensor extension harness, so we can plumb it to the back and conceal it. It just helps tidy up the engine bay a little bit more. One of the great things about these intakes is it's designed so the air is balanced going into each runner. So that's why it's got the center line and the hump. They call it the butt cheek design top, but it's got that, and then the back is designed to where when the air goes in, instead of hitting the back of the intake and falling straight to 7 and 8, it actually tries to disperse air evenly. The equalizer is actually balanced very, very well, but the Trinity's right behind it and has a couple other gains as well. This is the intake we're putting on this thing. We've got to get it assembled and put together, so we're going to do that now. Let's dive into that and get this thing put together and ready to go on the truck. All right, so we got this thing filleted out. As you can tell, it's a pretty simple design. It's a 3-piece intake. They do have a couple different plenum styles for this. They have one that drops a little bit that's more designed for like LS3s, and then the ones for the truck are more flat on the front. We've got a threaded port on the back for a vacuum source or PCV. We've got our map sensor port here. All right, so we got everything laid out here. We got the small O-rings. That's our seals for the intake to the head side. We got our big O-rings. Those are going to go around our runners on the plenum side. We got our bolts. We got a couple different barb fittings. We got a throttle body gasket. And then we also got the evap adapter and drilled this port out right here for that. That way he has his evap stuff. We've got his map sensor, and Emma's cleaning this throttle body up. She went ahead and cleaned that out, got that cleaned up for us. All right, guys, so we've got all our plenum to runner bolts in, and now we're going to torque them to spec at 89 inch-pounds, not foot-pounds, inch-pounds. That's why we got this little job here. So these do have a certain torque sequence as well. They want you to torque them and run them down in a certain order. So we're following that in the instructions that came with the intake. Of course, we want to do everything right and correct. All right, so on your map sensor, you've got 2 bolt holes. One of these is going to be for LT1 and truck map sensors. The other one's going to be for an LT4 map sensor. Forgot to put this fitting in before I put the map sensor in, so I have to take the map sensor back out. All right, guys, so we got the intake put together. We got all his sensors and all that put on there that we need. Um, we did do the adapter for the purge valve like we talked about. And then we went to bolt the throttle body up on this thing. And, you know, most instances you're supposed to read the fine print. In this instance, we should have read the bold print. At the very bottom of the listing for this intake, it says that an L83 throttle body will not work on this intake. But you need an L86 or a LT1 throttle body. Well, we didn't see that, and we took this one off. Emma went and cleaned it, and it does not fit whatsoever. Does not fit at all. Like, you can actually almost stick it in this way. So luckily we found an L86 throttle body locally from one of our customers. We're going to go pick that up this evening. So this thing won't get a throttle body or that cool, really fashionized BTR cold air intake tube today, but it'll get it first thing in the morning. We're going to go ahead and get our O-rings in the bottom of the runners, and we're going to go out and get this thing bolted on the truck and work on some exhaust while we cannot proceed with buttoning up this area. In the meantime, I think it's lunchtime, so it's time to find some food, and then we'll put this thing on the engine.
Dang, I should have grabbed a step stool when I was at the house.
So he was pretty butthurt about that.
Yeah, now my chair's all dirty. Alternator if it wasn't there.
All right, so it's been a few days. The throttle body we were going after did not actually exist. It was a miscommunication thing. We got with the customer. The customer decided to go ahead and upgrade and order a Nick Williams 103 for this thing, LTX 103. It came in. We're about to get that thing bolted on here, get the cold air, BTR cold air intake put on, and figure out our PCV and vacuum lines that we need to hook up and block off. And then we're going to try to get a base file in this thing and get it started up for the first time. Now, I don't know what all's entailed in making this Nick Williams throttle body run with the Gen 5 tune file, so there's probably going to be a learning curve there, but we're hoping to make some noise and get this thing driving under its own power today. We are in the middle of relocating to our new shop, so we're trying to finish up some jobs here, this being one of them, and start getting everything else out of here and moved over. So the shop is actually relatively pretty empty right now. Looks like we're moving in or out, one or the other, but definitely moving out. So you guys stay tuned for that. We've got a new location coming, tons of more space, a lot of renovating, and cool stuff coming along. Let's get the throttle body put on this thing and see if we can't make some noise. All right, guys, so we got the throttle body on this thing. We got the cold air intake tube on it. After having hands on this thing and attempting to put it on the truck, we realized a couple things about it right out of the gate. For one, it's advertised as the Trinity truck intake tube, and on the picture on the box and everything, it's on a Trinity with a, I'm guessing what would be a stock L86 or LT1 throttle body. And we have a Nick Williams 103. So first off, our boots do not work. So we had to struggle to find a boot that would actually stretch around this stuff and fit. And then to top that off, the other end of it is designed to go into a stock air box for one of these trucks. And we wanted to do like a K&N filter. So then there was no spot to put the MAF sensor. So luckily we had a ton of Speed Engineering cold air intake pieces left over that took a card style mass airflow sensor. So we were able to kind of just add an attachment on the end here and put the cone filter and the mass airflow right there on the end. But the biggest problem we ran into are these little grommets right here around these fittings. The idea is you put the grommet in the hole and then you push the fitting in. It creates a seal. This is for your PCV system. It goes to your valve covers. And one of them didn't want to stay in the hole at all from the jump. And then the other one, as soon as you cut the hose to length and fasten it to a valve cover, it starts pulling it out of the intake tube. So essentially, it's just, you know, out of the box, it's going to have a vacuum leak that you can't control. So luckily what we did was we got online and we ordered some AN fittings. We got some AN fittings coming that have 2 washers and a nut on the back. So we'll actually be able to create a seal on the tube itself. And then from there, it'll receive a 10 AN fitting with 5/8 inch hose attached to it going to our valve covers. So it's going to take care of it, but now we're stuck waiting on parts again. Not something we're looking forward to. We were expecting to be making noise in this thing today. At the end of the day, I love BTR and I love their products, but I think this is something that maybe they need to market a little different, offer different size boots for, really check those 2 vacuum ports on these tubes and make sure that they're tight enough and sealing good. Or maybe it's a problem with the grommets. Maybe those holes are spec. I don't know what the problem is, but I'm not really too thrilled with the quality of the intake tube, if I'm being honest. And I may not be that upset about it if I was putting it on a stock intake, stock throttle body, and a stock air box over here. But we got the Trinity intake, and we wanted to top it off with this nice cold air intake tube here. And I've been fighting this thing for almost 2 days. And to be quite frank, it's just pissing me off. So it is what it is, but we're going to find a solution for it. We're going to find a fix. And if our friends and parts suppliers over at BTR see this, just know that cold air intake tube might need a little bit of work. But like I said, if you're sticking it on a stock throttle body, stock air box, and you're just replacing that ugly big canister looking thing right there, it does seem like out of the box it would probably work no problem, other than the vacuum port issue. But we're going to wait on those to come in. We're going to get this thing buttoned up and finally hear it run. But now we're going to push it out of our way and wait until then. All right, guys, so it's been about a week and a half since we really messed with this thing. We ordered some AN fittings from Evil Energy. We got them installed. We've got his vacuum lines hooked up. We got this thing tuned and ready to go. Essentially what it was we bought these fittings that they're an AN on one end, and it's like an orb style fitting on the other end with like a plastic washer. And it's got a nut on the backside, so we can actually slide that in, have a seal, and then screw the nut on the inside of the cold air intake, and that gives us a good seal. We were able to do that, and then we come off with some 10 AN push lock fittings and use the 5/8 hose that came with the cold air intake kit. So we got all that sorted out. We spent about 3 days with the truck now, driving and tuning as much as we can in our downtime and moving stuff between shop and shop and going back and forth. We got about 200 miles on it so far. So tomorrow is our first big car show of the year, the Angel Run for the Saints and Sinners. And we really want this truck to be there. The owner's still in town. He just had a newborn baby, so congratulate him on that. And he's going to be able to bring the truck out and hang out with it tomorrow and get some miles on it, enjoying himself before he heads back out of town. Now, we do still have to install a wideband on this thing. And once it's broke in and the rings are seated all the way, we'll do some wide open throttle tuning. You know, with this move going on, man, it's really hard to shoot content and haven't really had time to edit. We've been renovating, moving, and still trying to turn wrenches and get these jobs out of here. My time's been very limited the last few weeks, but we are going to get you guys some idle clips of this thing, let you guys hear it, try to wrap up this build series on this 15 Silverado today. So let's fire this thing off, see what it sounds like. All right, guys, that's going to wrap up this episode. You'll see more of this truck in action when we can get some break-in miles on it, get the wideband installed, and it comes back for wide open throttle tuning. We might do some remote tuning with a selected tuner around here and really try to open this thing up and get as much out of it as we can. I'm also going to talk with the customer. This thing's got a 308 rear gear ratio. It runs good, don't get me wrong. The stall converter, the motor's torquey and everything. It really likes the intake and the cam. But I think if we got some gears in this thing, it would just put some more pep in its step, just that much more. So we're going to work on that. I know he wants to lower it. There's a lot of big plans for this truck. The customer just bought the truck and it pretty much came straight here. So we're excited to keep the ball rolling on this build, get this thing slammed down, try to get it hooking up and turning the rear tires over like hella good, and build him a hot rod that he can get out and enjoy and race and drive and cruise and have fun with his, his friends and family. Huge shout out to our sponsors, O'Reilly's Auto Parts. They always come in clutch, make sure we have what we need. You guys remember, if y'all need anything, AC Delco, they're one of the only parts stores that actually sell AC Delco parts. So chime into O'Reilly's. Make sure you drop us a follow on TikTok, Facebook, and drop us a comment and let us know what you think. We know you guys are going to want to see this thing in action. Smash that subscribe button so you get them updates. And until next time, thank you for watching, and it's time to send this bad boy home.